30 días. Ya falta poco. A entrenar.
Párate bien. Camina derecho.
¿Será este el momento?
No me puedo intimidar.
¿Se me verá bien esto?
Levántate, vamos.
Ya no tengo edad para esto.
¿Será demasiado? ¿Podré con todo?
No dudes más.
Hoy cambio el juego.
Hoy
Cambio.
El juego.
Soy triunfadora.
soy espectacular.
Nací para esto.
Soy pionera.
Soy imparable. Tú también puedes. Cambia el juego.
Thank you all for being here. Wow, full room.
Full house.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So it is an honor to be with you all today, and even intimidating being next to this incredible woman to talk about changing the game together. So they are very important people, so I don't want to waste their time. So let's jump right in. Are you ready?
We're ready.
Ready? You were born ready. Okay, can you tell us about what you were doing before you were in your current positions, even you, Madam President, before you were. Isn't it cool to be called Madam President?
I prefer Cindy.
Okay, she gave me permission.
Because I think I heard my damn president instead of...
I will never. No, but even you, can you please share, give us a background of what you guys were doing?
Yeah, so the day before I became president, I was coaching youth soccer with a local club in North Carolina called NCFC. I still coach today. And I was vice president of U.S. Soccer.
Nice. Marissa?
So I was, the day before I became SVP at the NFL, I was at PepsiCo, 18 years at PepsiCo. And I was in a very comfortable position. Life was good. So why in the hell would I make a move? I don't know. When the NFL comes, you sometimes have to just jump off the cliff and go for it.
Eglantina?
Jump off the cliff, go for it, I'll catch you. I was on MTV. I was as a VJ of MTV, hosting a daily show and all the Video Music Awards and working with music. And also, I have the same thoughts. I don't know why I decided in the moment of life to write to Ban Ki-moon, who was the Secretary General of the United Nations, 16 letters about how can we work for Latin America, and especially for women. And it's been 13 years that we started rolling that ball and changing the game.
Can you, Eglantina, can you share the impact that sports has had in your life? Because, I mean, you were a model, actress, TV
model.
host. Yeah, she still models. She was in the cover of a very important magazine just now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she's giving us all fashion advice after this.
Yes, I did the outfits, everything.
Yeah, I can't, I'm like, why is she into soccer? Why is it?
For a very personal reason. For my family, my dad and my mom were explorers. So I grew up in the Venezuelan Amazons, in the middle of the rainforest of the jungle with no electricity, lack of any kind of communication. And I have two siblings, I'm the youngest one, and they're 10 years older than me. So by the time that I was growing up, they didn't want to play with me. So my first gift, or my gift that I mostly used in the Amazon, was a soccer ball. And my neighbors, they were native indigenous people from the Amazon that did not speak the same language, they were not dressed the same way, had different cultural. And through that soccer ball, we were able to communicate, make really strong bonds of friendship and collaboration. And then I went off to modeling, television. But you can take the girl out of the jungle, but you can never take the jungle out of the girl.
Beautiful.
So, and it showed me something that is one of the most important lessons in my life, that we have much more things in common than what divides us. So we tend to separate ourselves from either the place of you were born, your skin color, your ideals, and it's magical when we work together. So while I was in MTV, Venezuela, my country, which I'm sure, are there any Venezuelans here? Yeah. Eso, arriba Venezuela. Was going through a very political turbious time, and either you were opposition or you were part of the regime. And I just wanted to be a part of the solution. So it was inevitable to remember how that soccer ball brought us together independently of our differences.
Nice. Marissa?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me,
You grew up in the Amazon too.
I did not grow up in the Amazon, but I have a little bit of a different relationship with sports. I never did sports as a young girl, but I was a very big fan from a very early age. When I was 13 years old, I got to attend the World Cup final in Mexico City.
Wow.
And I fell in love with football. And since that time, I've been to every World Cup. I was in Qatar, that was my 10th World Cup. And so I have grown with the sport as a fan. So now my time with the NFL, to me, it's full circle because my job is to create and generate fandom. And fandom is so important to sport. And it's not just because of the sport itself, but what the platform of sport can do. You were talking about how you can change the world literally through sport. I believe sport gives a voice to those that, are unheard. It gives visibility to those that are unseen. And I think all of us have a responsibility to use our platforms of sport to lift up those voices and let people be seen.
Cindy, what impact has had sports in your life? I mean, you started playing since you were little.
Yeah, so I've been playing sports since I was 3 years old. I grew up with 3 brothers. I was the annoying younger sister that wanted to do everything my brothers were doing. But thankfully, they were engaged in sports, so that's how I got my start. But I can honestly say that I would not have become the person or the leader that I am today without sport, and specifically soccer. I mean, I literally grew up in the sport. I've spent half my life in a locker room. So take away from that what you will. But I mean, when I think about the 99ers, right? I was such a young kid on that team. I literally grew up under the best leaders the world has ever seen. In Julie Foudy, Carla Overbeck, Mia Hamm. So these were the people I was learning from. And so think about, I was the young, quiet kid on the team. I think I would have been everyone's last choice of who on the 99ers would become president of U.S. Soccer. I don't think anyone would have chosen me, and rightly so. I wouldn't have chosen me either. But literally, I have learned so much through this game, and this game has given my life so much that I wouldn't be where I am today without it.
We came across this statistic that says that 90% of female C-suite executives played sports when they were young, yet now, as we speak, only 30% of girls are playing soccer. What do you think about that untapped potential?
I think we got to change the game. You like that? You like what I did there? Like what I did? I mean, for me, it's not just about participation, as you said. For me, in sports, I want women and girls at every level, in every aspect of sports, to be participating. So soccer specifically. So as a referee, as a coach, as a team administrator, or at U.S. Soccer in the business side. So for me, it's about not only participation at the grassroots level, but participation for life, and how do we engage more women in the sports industry as a whole.
Marissa, I mean, we were just talking about flag football.
I will say flag.
She was the genius behind that Diana Flores Super Bowl commercial that I think it touched all of us.
I think it's so important to empower young girls through sport. And, soccer is a great sport. My 17-year-old daughter is about to go play collegiate soccer, so I'm very excited.
Nice.
But football, the other football, is just as powerful. And as we look to really grow the sport of flag, it's something, it has tremendous momentum. Girls' participation in flag this year alone has grown 48%.
Nice.
We are on a path to sanctioning the sport across high schools across America. Only 8 states have it sanctioned today. In the next 3 years, we want to sanction it across all 50 states. And I'm very excited to say we are in a pitch right now for flag football to become an Olympic sport. So hopefully as early as LA 28, it will be an Olympic sport. And I really believe that sport, you know, it's inclusive. Anyone can play, all genders, all abilities. And it's really a way to bring about empowerment and that togetherness and ability to everyone.
Eglantina, you're literally seeing it every single day through your organization, Goleadoras. By the way, that pin, look at that pin. Find it on Instagram and follow them.
Goleadoras.org. You can support the cause by buying your pin. I wish I could have one for each one of you, but I'm not in Oprah Winfrey show right now. So it's not under your seat at the moment, but soon. Listen, the statistics are one of the main factors of why the Goleadoras program is important. It's no coincidence that 90% of all the women in the top 500 Fortune attribute that their success to have played a team sport at a young age. The leadership, the discipline, the sorority, the communication, the self-esteem that it brings up in a young girl that are skills that you're going to take on the field, but you're going to take it also in life. So to shut all those little negative thoughts, you have your friends, you have your team, nobody's leaving behind. And it's super important because it's mind-blowing that only 30%, I guess, let's attribute it to COVID. And we definitely, as Cindy is saying, we need to change the game because we need to really address those barriers. I think we have several reasons of why is that lack of participation of girls. One of them is perhaps the lack of opportunities in the sport, but also the stereotypes, the social references that we have of girls being in a team. And also the lack of money, of support that you can have, economic investment. But when you see these girls that they have this opportunity, we always talk about second chances, but it's only one chance that you believe in them. They will take it on. Our foundation works in the U.S., mainly for U.S. Hispanic girls, and in underserved communities in Latin America, where the stereotypes that do not define you, but they do limit us, of the parents not wanting the girls to participate, or it's the idea of a girl playing soccer is a tomboy, and the lack of references, because it's very hard for women to become somebody if you don't have that reference, if you don't have women in positions of leadership. And what you're saying about having the lack of participation is just a shame, because it's an untapped potential of women in leadership positions, and overall we cannot move forward if we're not all working together. And it's even worrying because soccer has more FIFA has more member states than the United Nations. And I always come back to this statistic because in 70% of the countries, women are not well seen or welcome to play soccer. And in countries that are a little bit more extreme, you were just in Qatar, girls cannot even go watch a soccer match. So my question to you guys is, like, how really can we talk about education, progress, and peace if 50% of the population is discriminated for participating in the most popular sport in the world at a young age? So definitely we need to change the game. And when you see the differences in these girls, for instance, the one that just came from Qatar, we had a team of girls from Condoto, Colombia, which I don't know if you know where Condoto is. It's a little remote town in the border of Panama and Colombia, which is filled with the worst human problems, from narcotráfico, illegal minery, sex trafficking. These girls have never been on a plane, have never been on an electric stair, never had a passport, and they went 14,000 miles to play in Qatar, and they ended up losing to Brazil 1 goal, so they're sub-champions. Before our Goleadoras program...
Always Brazil.
Tá bom com os brasileiros, no? Sai fora, gente. But before that opportunity, the girls didn't want to come to the field, and we did a whole... Sachi and Sachi did the whole branding of the organization, so it looked, it would look feminine and for girls to come. And they came for the T-shirts that had a beautiful flower, and then they ended up putting a little bit of, they liked it, and they put discipline, and they put teamwork, and they ended up going to Qatar. But before that, they couldn't enter the field. Now they have a whole day that they can play in the field. Their voices and self-confidence, not only as soccer players, but as women of leadership, agents of change. So it's a multiplying effect when you have these girls have that empowerment and have that sense of sorority.
We need more men taking leaps of faith in and women. Now, Marissa,
No.
why do you think there's such a strong correlation between leadership and sports?
Yeah, I mean, I think the challenges that you face in the game are the challenges that you face in the business, in life. You know, you think about, you know, coming together as a team to face adversity. You know, you're facing an opponent. You're thinking about, you know, ways that you could find your skill, you know, and find that empowerment within you, that you can build the team around you and collaborate together to reach a goal. Like, these are all things that, you know, do well in the world of business. They do well in the world of life. It's like I said, that sport is a unifier. Sport gives a voice. It's a platform that really can not just change the game, but change the world.
Yeah. Even though we are in this beautiful empowerment movement, you know, like girl power, it's sometimes even annoying when they say, how are you doing it in this male-dominated industry? But that is the reality. And Cindy, even you as U.S. soccer president, have you feel like you're still like the other in the room?
Well, fortunately, I've never felt like the other. If you remember the opening, I grew up with 3 brothers, so I'm used to being the only woman or girl in the room. So I had that going for me, and I have some pretty sharp elbows for those of you that watched me play, so I can elbow my way in there when I need to, pull up another chair. But you know, but I do think for a lot of people, it is intimidating and unwelcoming. And so I see my job as being one of the first is to make it easier for everyone behind me, that they shouldn't have to experience some of the things that I have experienced. So for the next woman coming through, or the next young girl looking to do different things in our sport, so part of my job as a leader and one of the first is to make sure it's easier for everyone behind me.
So now, like I said, even in this movement, it feels like if you want to be in a powerful position, if you're a woman, it's either you are too young to be in that position or too old to even aspire to be in one. So how do you guys break those barriers?
Yeah, I mean, I can start by telling you a story that I experienced when I was very young, that I think prepared me for that world, right, and those barriers. My very, very first advertising campaign, I was working for P&G in Latin America, and it was the first one that I was leading, and I was so excited. I was, I think, 21, 22 years old. I walk into the advertising agency, room full of men, right, and my boss is a man, and I'm so ready and so excited, and the head of the agency calls his assistant and says, you know, Susie, meet Marissa, Marissa, meet Susie. Why don't you 2 ladies go have a cafecito while us men talk business? Wow. I was 22 years old. You know, my body just filled with like, I mean, it was rage, but I was more like scared. You know, I just was shaking. I thought my boss would speak up, and he didn't say a word. And it was those like 10 seconds, it felt like a lifetime, that I had to decide. You had to decide right there. What are you going to do in this moment? And you just have to claim your seat. You just have to claim your seat. I said, you know what?
Yeah.
It's my campaign. Yeah. I need to stay. And I wish I could say it was like, oh, and everything was perfect. It was very awkward. Very awkward. But I claimed the seat. And I think that early experience just allowed me in corporate America, now in sports, to just, you know, you gotta take your seat at the table because we are needed to change things.
What gave you the strength? I mean, it can be so intimidating, you know, when someone in a higher position just make you feel like literally, how did you become so strong? I mean, like you said, you acted in that moment. Like, how do you become so strong? Because sometimes you want to claim that seat, but you're like, I don't want to be like the one, the nagging one. I don't want to be like the one that, se la creyó diva, or like, how do you do it? Like, how do you become so strong?
You know, I don't even know if you become strong. Sometimes you just do it while you're afraid. You're afraid, but I think in that moment, I just, I thought about my parents, I thought about what I needed to do, and you just do it. I was still shaking inside. I wish I would have kicked, done a little move, but no, I mean, I was shaking inside, but
Kill Bill.
you take that step, and eventually, time over time, you keep taking that step, and the little fear kind of goes away, and then that fear becomes energy, and that fear catapults you, and then you become, that powerhouse. It takes time, but you have to start somewhere.
Cindy, Eglantina, how did you become so strong and brave
Bueno,
and saying just
I'm
like
not a
Nike,
black
just
belt.
do it?
I'm from the Amazon, so I have a jaguar. You mess with me, I have 3 scorpions over here. I'm machete. I always want to buy a machete, but my lawyer over here always takes it away from me.
I believe you.
Yes, of course. You have to be that tough. And what you're saying, Marissa, is true. The fear, sometimes it makes you stronger. The other, you say 100 times I've been the other one in the room, and sometimes, people that tend to cross the line about like the things you should do or not do to get a seat and where your seat's supposed to be, and you have to just stand up for yourself. But I also think the big changes in the world were never made by people that stayed in the status quo. No, it's the ones who actually proposed different ideas. And when I even told my father that I was going to do girls soccer and in vulnerable communities, he's like, "Oh no, I had it with you. Stay with the hippies in MTV. Stay in your fashion world."
With the hippies.
Like, no, it's girls soccer. They play with 2 left feet. They're never gonna. It's never gonna go. Never gonna take off. I'm not gonna support you. And and then we have been rolling that ball. And the changes that you have been makes you stronger. Every day we have bigger support from brands, it's about teamwork also, and I think this is important. I'm not very much of a strategic person, but I know how to work in teams, and I've had mentorship, and that's what the essence of Goleadoras is, to also create those programs of mentorship for other girls to be able to overcome those fears and know and claim their seat on the table, because really, we're missing 50% of the leadership, of the talent in businesses, in companies, in sports, if we don't give these girls this opportunity and help them with mentorship and support. And it's okay to have fear. Yes. The worst case that happens is you go to the bathroom.
Cindy, how did you become
All right, well, I'll tell you the story. The day I became president, and the way it works at U.S. Soccer, I was VP, the president resigns. We're in this very unpleasant equal pay litigation with the women's national team. So, and COVID has just hit our world, and everything is shutting down. And I become president of U.S. Soccer literally in that moment. I was planning on being VP, show up for 4 meetings a year, no big deal. But I became president, and I was like, holy shit. And I immediately started thinking of all the things that I wasn't. I'm pretty extreme introvert, so I'm not an extrovert. I don't have an MBA. I've never led a Fortune 500 company. Hell, I'd never held an executive position at any company before. And kind of had a little bit of a freak out and self-doubt. And then I took a deep breath and, it took a few days. And then I took a deep breath. And then I was like, okay, what do I bring to this? How am I going to do this position? And I fell back on my experiences as a player and as a teammate and being a part of teams. So being in business is running a team. It's just not on the field. It's in the business offices. And so how do you put people around you that will help you be a better team? So how do you get really, really smart people, way smarter people than me, and how do you surround yourself with them and empower them to do their job so that as a team we perform well together? And it was the same as I was 17 years old going into the national team. I wasn't Mia Hamm, I wasn't Michelle Akers, I wasn't Brianna Scurry. I had to figure out how I fit into this team and how was I going to contribute. It was the same when I went to U.S. Soccer. I was like, okay, this is my team. All right, so we have a few missing pieces, so we have to hire here, and I don't know about this, so I'm going to bring someone in who's kick-ass at that. And slowly but surely, we put all the pieces together, and I have some of my teammates here from U.S. Soccer. I mean, just so proud of how far we've come in this short period of time, and I genuinely love working with all of the employees at U.S. Soccer, and I think for me, like coming from sports and playing sports, I was really comfortable in saying like, hey, this is your area of expertise, run with it. And if you need input from me, come back, but I trust you, go.
Delegating.
And I think without the experiences that I had as a player, I don't know that I might have been a little bit more controlling and wanting to be in on everything, but I knew I wasn't the smartest person in the room, and if I was, I needed to hire better.
And now how do you feel like with all that experience and being able to now change the game off the field?
I mean, I feel so thankful. You know, as I look back over my career as a young kid, as a young player, coaching, like every step of the way, my experiences and the knowledge I was gaining was preparing me for this moment to step into leadership. And I didn't know it because I was this quiet kid, you know. On the national team, I hardly spoke. I probably didn't start speaking very much till I was like 24 years old. So to now be thrown in front of cameras everywhere I go, and our communications officer is here. He's probably like, oh, she was rough. No, but you know, those experiences, like those times when you're uncomfortable, when you're afraid that you're not going to succeed, like those are the moments where you really grow. And so the next time you kind of feel those little butterflies in your stomach, you're like, I got this. I can do this. I've felt this before and I can do it. And you know what? If I fail, I'm going to pick myself right back up and try again.
When we are loving it, by the way, we are loving it. Marissa, can you tell us about what was the objective of the Diana Flores campaign that we just mentioned? What was the objective, and how do you feel now after seeing like the incredible response it had?
Yeah, you know, we set out to do a few things. I mean, first of all, as I stated before, flag has been on such a momentum. We wanted to elevate the game in the biggest stage possible. And we wanted to recognize the contribution that women have had in our sport, not just players, but women executives, you know, women as coaches. What we didn't realize, and I did when I met Diana, was just how special her story is. And it just, you know, meeting her, such a powerhouse player and such an authentic and real person, and a power Latina. I mean, it was kind of like all the perfect things happening together. And yeah, you know, we did some of the things the NFL always does. We had our players and we had some fun, you know, a player going down the escalator in a parrot suit. You have to do that, right, for entertainment. But the rest of the spot was her. It was Diana. We didn't have to write anything. We didn't have to do anything. It was her. The only thing she didn't do was jump off the roof, and she would have done it. We probably, you know, we didn't want her to get hurt, but it was all her. And so to me, it was just a very special moment to elevate the game, elevate women, and elevate Latinos. And from an NFL standpoint, it's just the way that the league is now coming to being in terms of being human and authentic, and really showcasing what the power of the sport can do.
We had her during our broadcast for the Super Clásico in Mexico, Chivas against America, and we had her there, and she could be a motivational speaker. I was like this, just listening to her, and my producer goes, "Do not cry, do not cry, do not cry," and I'm like, I'm not gonna cry, but she is such a special person. That's why she connected the way she did.
She is a special person, but I will tell you and tell all of you, behind Diana, there are hundreds of Dianas all over the world, not even just in the US, all over the world. I know you've seen them as goleadoras. There are hundreds of girls and women that play the sport of flag that are just as incredible as she is, and That's my job. I'm going to tell every one of their stories. If it takes me 20 years. You know.
So now my last question to
You're
you
in
guys.
Telemundo, you can broadcast it to everybody.
Yeah. My last question is, like, how can everyone in this room contribute to keep changing the game? Madam President, what are your thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts, but I'll try to keep it brief. I would say, one, to the men in the room, thank you. Thank you for scooting over and making room for us at the table. And for the women in the room, I would say find your allies, right? And be proud of the space that you take up. I can't tell you how many times I'm around women and they literally apologize for the space that they take up. No more apologizing. We're here for a reason. We deserve it. We've earned it. And be proud of the space that you take up. And for those of you that have made it to the highest level, lower the ladder. Make it easier for the next woman behind you.
Yeah, that's I don't know how to follow that, but what I will say is, you know, have your purpose, have your vision, because when you are passionate about something, there is no stopping you. And you said it, you know, if you just do the status quo will happen. Just get out there, even if you're afraid, even if you're shaking. Get out there, find your allies, and go leverage the platform to make sure your passion is heard, and then elevate everybody else, because we need to do that.
Elevating everybody else, never putting anybody down, but also the sorority. I think for the men in the room, thank you, but I also encourage every woman to have this sense of sorority. In my experience, I've encountered much more support from men than from actually women. So I think sometimes we boycott each other instead of elevating ourselves, working together, believing in ourselves, knowing that you're not leaving anybody behind. And for all of you, I encourage you to go into goleadoras.org, support us, follow us, and help us, because what we do is give this girls social emotional skills. That it's not about the ends mean the soccer. It's besides all the physical benefits that it has, it's the life skills that you're going to encourage to have a world with more equality, with more collaboration, and ultimately overall a much better world that we all dream of and we all want for our kids, or for your kids, or for our parents, or for all of us in general. And yeah. Together we change the game.
Can I just add something real quick? I know we have a lot of young professionals.
Don't use your title.
Please.
Using your position.
Curtsy now.
I'll do the Miss Venezuela.
No, I just know that we have a lot of young professionals in the room, so I don't want to give the impression that the three of us have figured it out.
Yeah.
We still get butterflies. We still get nervous. We still have moments where we're afraid. We still have moments of self-doubt. I would say the one difference is we've experienced it before, and so we maybe know how to deal with it. We know how our bodies react to it and how to appear as if in control. So I would say, like, don't think that because we're up here and talking to all of you that we have it figured out. We don't. We're still trying to figure it out ourselves, and we're still learning and growing. So you are in good company.
I want to add something too, but I'm not Madam President.
Madam Amazon.
I want to invite you girls, please, to know more about Goleadoras and working together. And I want to, from the bottom of my heart, thank Telemundo, that since the beginning has supported bringing and showcasing our conversations and platforms like this so we can elevate the game and change the game.
Can I be your ally? I'll bring wine.
Please.
Yes?
Always invited.
I'll bring wine.
Always. I have a bunch of girls for you.
Monica laughed.
Thank you, Monica.
Okay.
Thank you.
So now we're going to open for questions from the employees. Does anyone have a question?
Now is your time to use your elbows.
Yes. Like, boom.
Hi. First of all, thank you for your time today. I have a question. From your perspectives now, what word of advice would you give to the little girl version of you? This is for the future girls who want to be a part of this sports world.
I'll start. I think for me, I was I always wanted to be the best at everything I did, whether it was sports or academics or playing a card game. I always wanted to be the best. And I think part of that also, something that went along with that was kind of a fear of failure. And I think one of the reasons why I was so quiet as a young kid is that I was afraid of putting myself out there. I was afraid of failure. Now I embrace it because I fail all the time. But that would be a piece of advice that I would give my younger self, is to just not take myself so seriously, and that it's okay to fall flat on your face and learn from that experience and get back up and keep fighting.
Yeah, I would say take more risk. I didn't take enough risk when I was younger, and I wish I had. And I wish I had found my voice earlier. And you know, this is why I love your statements so much, because that inner voice is so important. It's the voice that gets you up every morning. It's the voice that tells you that you can or can't, right? And I wish that voice had formed a little earlier to tell me you can do things. Now it's much better. But if I was younger, I would tell my voice to, shape that voice up a little bit more.
Eglantina.
Well, I have several advices if I had the opportunity to talk to my younger self, but mainly I think it's also in the believing in ourselves and maybe not taking as many risks, but it would be the contrary. No, put it down. You go up, we go down. And yes, so, not that many risks. If you put me in that commercial, I'll jump off the roof. But believe in yourself. I think as girls, we've always been told that we have a space in society, which is not where the big CEOs, and we get intimidated. I had to do a panel it was between Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. And I was behind the scenes, and the guy who's putting me out, he's like, don't get panicked. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett are right in front of you. And it was, we work together and we prepare ourselves better, we work harder, and we are super capable to talk in front of Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and they give us these names that sometimes it's to intimidate us. Mm-hmm. And there's, it's as long as you
they're
can...
People.
Huh?
They're people.
They're just people. Sometimes they're even less prepared than us on our subjects. I'm sure if I play football with Bill Gates, I'll win.
Another question? Oh.
Come
you
on.
See, you are intimidating.
Take a risk. Yeah, take a risk.
Here.
Hi, so more than a question, I want to just thank you ladies for inspiring all the women in this room today, because what you said is really, really important. I think as Latinas as well, it's all of that plus 100 times more. That doubt and that, that thing that is put in our brains from a very young age. So thank you, ladies, for taking the time to come to Telemundo and do this for the women in this room, including myself. It's been a very empowering hour. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, the three of you. Now we would like to leave you with a sneak peek of the... Oh, you go? No? No? Okay. Now we're going to leave you with a sneak peek into the excitement we're going to have this summer with the ultimate unstoppable woman, a woman's world. Oh, there.
Sorry to interrupt you, Anna.
No.
So first, my question's for Marissa. First of all, the Super Bowl commercial made me cry. So thank you for putting not only Latinos in the spotlight, but Latinas in the spotlight. And then, we carry the NFL in Español on Universo and every Sunday night during the season, and also on Telemundo, and it's been a great story to see it grow. So I'd like to know from your perspective, how are you seeing the growth of Hispanic fandom around the NFL, and what are you doing to bring that up as well?
Great question. And first of all, I want to say muchísimas gracias to Telemundo for the partnership. Eli's been phenomenal. I believe that Latino fandom of the NFL is just beginning. We have 32 million Latinos that consider themselves fans of the NFL today. There's 60 million Latinos in the U.S. alone, so we've got some work to do. But Latino fandom is very unique and very different. And it brings to life the celebration of the sport in a very different light. And I think we need to shine the light on that celebration, that fandom, the contributions that Latinos have to our sport. Diana, like I said, I mean, she's amazing. She's the first story. There's thousands more that we need to tell. We have a Por la Cultura platform that comes to life in various ways, especially through Telemundo. And we're going to bring it to life and continue even more. And not just the sport itself, but the story surrounding the sport, whether it's music, it's fashion, it's community, it's all of the things that make us Latinos and that make, it's fútbol americano, but americano includes Latinos, right? Yes. Because we make America. So you'll see a lot coming in the future.
I can't wait.
Monica? No? Another question? No? Are you sure? Because we want to show you this. It's just a little bit of the excitement. We're going to have this summer when the Women's World Cup. It's here at Telemundo, so let's watch.
La copa es nuestra, ahora es el momento, la pasión del juego la siento, en primera fila siempre activas, bienvenidos al movimiento, ahora es el momento, empieza a correr el tiempo, corro la paso, me siguen, me bajo, no hay límites, vuelo alto, la copa es nuestra, la copa es nuestra, no nos pueden parar, no, paso a paso al altar, yeah. El mundo me espera, vestida en bandera, la tribuna entera grita. No nos pueden parar, no, paso a paso al altar, yeah. La cancha es mi maestra, donde se demuestra, balón en los pies y la copa es nuestra. La copa es nuestra. Let's go, es nuestra, la copa es nuestra.
I liked it. You liked it? Eglantina, you liked it? One day, one of your goleadoras is going to be in there.
I can't wait. Well, Cindy, we need to talk. One of our goleadoras actually is nominated by FIFA's Best Goal, Dana Castellanos. And now all the girls in Venezuela have joined goleadoras, and in Colombia joined goleadoras. So yes, I can't wait to have one of the goleadoras there on the La Copa es Nuestra.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. Follow Mujeres Imparables.
Everybody, this is exactly what we wanted to do today. Make sure you had outside perspective. I hear you all and you inspire me. I hear your stories and they make me a better person. They make me a better executive. And it was so important that all of you listen to it. I'm so proud of the way women support women, about the fact that you are supporting Latinas in corporate, in sport, in everything that you do. So please, everybody, to our Mujeres Imparables panel, to our Mujer Imparable, our moderator, Ana, Cindy, Marissa, Eglantina, muchísimas gracias. Thank you all. You guys will be here for a minute? Yeah. They'll be here for a little bit. We're going to take a couple of pictures, and everybody, please come take pictures or say hello. Thank you.
Good job, you guys.
You see, I did it.